like you were resilient as a child, then resilient in the service, and now you are stepping into this new, phase of your life. And I'm sure there was some resilience that even come into building, your own company also. So tell us a little
Absolutely.
bit about the resilience that you kind of birthed, within yourself, and also how do you kind of help others, some lessons that you can help others even with that to learn that same resilience.
Absolutely. And Ernest, you asked a really poignant question about, resilience and how that relates and how, I use that to support other people. And let me just say, you think, oh, I went through all this stuff as a child. And then something happens as an adult, and you're going on and you're wearing the mask and you have the success and you have all the
Mhm.
accolades and you have, because you're like, oh, I'm gonna be a beast. I didn't have it as a child. So let me just tell you what's gonna happen in the next phase of my life. So you're like, okay, I'm getting it, and so you don't ever think about the resiliency. You don't think about what you overcame until something nips you. It's that big dog that come and nip your ankles and you feel like you need a new foot or you need a new ankle. And that's what happened to me in 2020 when I deployed to the Navajo Nation. It was the most desolate area during the height of COVID. We didn't have prophylactics. We didn't have any immunizations. We didn't have anything. And I was sent out there by myself as the sole behavioral health provider. I was the lead for the command team, but also for 2 medical centers for all the staff. Now, I'm at the height of my career. I made it, right? And I get there and I'm in a new world because I'm like, wait a minute. The people here are dying in droves. The stories I'm hearing about their history, the stories I'm hearing about them now, they don't have running water in their homes and they're dying in droves. This is one of the most red zones in the country. So at that time, I start to have this awakening, like, at that point, and we had George Floyd going on, we had Breonna Taylor going on, we had people coming back from Afghanistan. They were starting to draw down. Wait a minute, this is what I came here for. What is going on? And all the lives that were lost, and you're hearing all this information of everything that you heard, right?
Mhm.
You're like, so you start questioning things. Like I, for myself, said, am I really serving when there's people here that are right in our country and it seems like a third world country? So that's where everything kind of started to shift for me while I was there. And I come home and I'm exercising because I experienced some trauma at that deployment. And I'm exercising. That's what I know. And my husband, he's a veteran. We're going walking. What we need to do, get on a Peloton. So guess what? One night I wake up and I try to go to the bathroom like normal, and I couldn't walk.
Mm.
I was in so much pain to the point where I couldn't walk. So guess what? I didn't. Again, I'm a strong woman. You know what I mean? I'm this strong person. I do it. I can do everything. So I crawled to the bathroom. I didn't wake my husband up. I crawled to the bathroom and I'm just there on the bathroom floor crying. I didn't know how I couldn't get up. So he hears me crying. He comes and picks me up and he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I'm in so much pain. I can't walk." And so again, that didn't say let's go to the ER. Oh, I overdid it working out. I've done races, I've done bodybuilding. I can do this. I got ice packs, I got heat packs, I got Advil. So I did go to the ER a couple times. Again, they didn't see anything. Give you morphine and send you home. Follow up with your PCM. Okay. So one day I was in so much pain. And again, it was on and off, but it was very extreme. So one night my husband, or one day it was so bad. My husband's like, we're going to the military hospital this time. So he brought me to Andrews, and that's where I started my career. And so it was like, kind of like a bittersweet thing, right? Coming
Mhm.
home, really. And so they did an assessment. They transferred me to Walter Reed Medical Center. I got hospitalized. I'm there for 4 days. They have all the residents, it's a training hospital. This is one of the premier medical centers for military. So all the people are coming in, they're taking their notes. Can we bring the residents? I'm like, yeah, because I was a resident. So I don't mind them coming in. So 4 days go by. And the doctor comes in and says, Captain Harrell, we can't find anything. We're sending you home today. What do you mean? You're giving me the highest level pain meds. I can't walk. And you're sending me home? Oh, well, you just got home from deployment, so we're going to send in the psychiatrist. I said, I'm a mental health provider. If this is a somatic symptom, then bring that psychiatrist in because we need to figure this out.
Right.
So the psychiatrist comes in, but I told them they could euthanize me. I said, no one would be able to deal with that pain. No one. It was extreme. And at that point, I knew I was passing. I was making amends with God. I was texting friends and family. There were people coming to visit me, but I never said anything to anyone. You know what I mean? So when you talk about healing, you talk about faith, you talk about resiliency, I had made amends. I'm like, okay, I can't live like this. So it's time to go. It's time to go. And so I had to advocate like many of us do, many of us in the community. And that's why I do holistic wellness now. You do have to advocate. You know your body more than anyone else. But can you imagine? Guess what I had? Guess what the diagnosis was?
I can't even guess because I'm just like, you've been in the hospital for 4 days and you can't walk and they can't find what's wrong with you. I can't guess either.
So I had a septic hip. So if you've ever heard of anyone with sepsis, a lot of people, celebrities in the news have had it more recently. When you get sepsis, it's a matter of hours or days that you transition out of here. So I would have, even if I had to advocate for myself, I couldn't be a patient. I had to talk to them, like use the medical language. I worked in all the medical centers my whole career. And I couldn't be a patient because what I knew was that if they sent me to the mental health ward, I would have died because they would not have treated it. So once they found out what it was, they're running in they're running in. Everybody's getting me ready for surgery. Because again, I was about to be out of here. I was going to be, you wouldn't be talking to me right now. Right. I had 2 surgeries, major surgeries back to back on my hip that same week. So I lost a lot of blood. I was in the hospital for a month and a half, but then I had to go to rehab. So I was inpatient again. And then I think because my body was in so much shock and I was on antibiotics intravenously 24 hours straight for about 6 to 8 weeks, my body went into shock. And so that was the fall of 2020. The next year in the spring, I got hospitalized again. And I had 3 surgeries that year on my hip. I got a full hip replacement in November. And then I had a whole mirage of medical problems after that. I got diagnosed with sarcoidosis. They thought it was cancer though. So I had to take oral chemo, prednisone. I had Bell's palsy. I thought I was dying and they weren't telling me. You know how you're hospitalized and the room is silent and nobody really wants to say anything. So I'm like, if I need palliative care, you need to tell me. And but to God be the glory, I'm here.
Yes.
And I was able to heal myself holistically, losing almost 80 pounds without exercise because I'm in pain. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. So I use holistic modalities, stuff that our grandparents use, our ancestors, ancient, Chinese secrets as well. And, I talked to you before. I'm in my PhD for mind-body medicine. And so I believe, no, I don't believe, I know We have the ability to heal ourselves. I'm not saying not to work with your provider, because if you got a septic hip, you got to take some meds, but work in conjunction so that you can transition into more holistic resources and treatments. Because those meds, I mean, my kidney, they're like looking now, like, how's your kidney functioning? You know? So that's what I do with now with the Blissful Life Consulting and offering holistic wellness services and coaching. I help people to heal themselves, work with God. God told there's not a one size fits all modality. And sometimes, you know, with the spiritual piece, I think when we talk about mental health, we talk about resiliency. I think if you don't factor in the spiritual piece, then you're missing the boat. You're going to
Yeah.
keep coming back and forth. We're going to be on that circle, that hamster wheel.
Right, right. So I want to go back a little bit because you talked about having a septic hip, if you don't mind, because I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? So I know my audience probably don't know what it is either. So what exactly is septic, and how does it affect people to the point that they can pass away from it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think, who was it? I think Christopher Williams, probably Albie Shore, like they were in a coma with theirs. So it's when there's a toxic bacteria that's in your body, but it's so toxic to where once it hits your organs, it will shut your organs down. So what they had to do with me was they had to check my heart before they did the surgery, because they would have had to do heart surgery as well. And so once it gets in that bloodstream, and it's like basically having, you know, gasoline or pneumonia that's in your blood system. And once it comes up and it hits your organs, you know, you could be in a coma, and you can die. And so I've heard of, you know, after the experience, because I didn't really know a lot about it, and I'm not a physician per se,
Mhm.
but what I can say is that, you know, you want to make sure that if you have something like that, number one, a lot of times they may not be able to recognize it in regular tests, but it feels like, I can't even explain it. It's to the point where the pain is so severe that it's like you almost take yourself out of your body, because it's so, even with the meds did not work at all. It may have calmed me down for 2 seconds, but it was so extreme. It's like you want to elevate. You want your spirit to go out of this shell because it hurts so bad. And so, but regardless of whatever diagnosis, I feel like a lot of times we're not heard by our medical professionals. I mean, I'm a medical professional. I know a lot of, you know, there's a lot of stress in the medical community, and we're being asked to see more and more patients every day. And it's
Yeah,
hard, right? You're going from one patient to the other. And, you know, so sometimes when you know if something's wrong, and if you feel like this provider or this hospital is not hearing you, then that's your opportunity to look it up, do a little research. You may not know for sure. But it's funny that I talked to several providers after and just explained my story, and people were like, oh, that sounds like sepsis. So it just depends. It depends on who you get, but it's your responsibility to make
yeah,
sure that you are taken care of. Because if you put that burden on somebody else, you're gonna lose every time.
yeah.